How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather SpongeBob 1000, and let's get straight into things by taking a look at the latest initialization of the GFS model at around the 210-hour mark, because we do have some interesting developments. We do have a major winter storm developing for the Northeast. By the time we approach Friday, February 28th, we're seeing heavy snowfall right over the Appalachian Mountain ranges of West Virginia, as well as the western portion of Virginia and extending into Pennsylvania and New Jersey as well. And this storm system does become quite powerful, and we begin to see a negative tilt with the jet stream, which is a good representation of how powerful this storm system would be once we see a negative tilt with the jet stream, which essentially enhances instability at a rapid pace, to where this storm would rapidly intensify in a scenario like this. And we do see that we could see strong winds with this snowstorm as well if this scenario were to come for fruition, and this would certainly be very impactful for all the Interstate 95 corridor cities. Now, of course, taking a look at the forecast hour, we're still ways away from this storm system actually occurring, so definitely take this with a big grain of salt, at least right now. But if we were to take a quick look at what the European model is stating at the same time period, the European model, while it is certainly different in a lot of ways, is at least forecasting a similar jet stream dip to occur, as well as a similarly strength storm to develop right around the same time period. Let's take a quick look at that. So it expects the same upper level low to move into the Midwest and eventually the mid-Atlantic. However, the key difference with the European model is that the snow is relegated a lot further westward, where it's mainly impacting the Great Lakes, such as portions of Michigan, even maybe Ohio and Indiana get involved with snowfall, and the western portions of upstate New York and into Pennsylvania get involved with snowfall, while for pretty much the entirety of the eastern United States, it's a rain event. And the reason why is because the European model expects the ridging to be much stronger. So you're probably wondering what's the key that will determine who exactly will receive snowfall from this storm system. Of course, the main catalyst that would determine that is the ridge, just to the east of this low pressure system. But what would determine how strong the ridge will be by the time we approach the middle to late portion of next week? Well, it's actually gonna be key to take a look at this trough, which should move in earlier during next week, right around the 120 to 140 hour mark. And the key thing we're going to be watching with this trough is how powerful it'll be by the time it approaches the Northeast. In the European model scenario, this trough is weaker, which allows the ridging to develop a lot faster, and to the point where by the time this next storm system moves into the United States, the ridge will be strong enough to mainly relegate the snowfall to the Great Lakes and mainly the interior Northeast region. While if we were to take a look at the GFS model, on the other hand, the GFS model is taking a more powerful, or at least a more expansive low pressure system, where we'd see that not only this low pressure system is moving a little bit further southward, but we see another small trough just to the west of this storm system that moves into the mid-Atlantic, and even could bring that possibility of some light snowfall as well in some portions. And this low pressure system will be key, because this would weaken the ridging enough to the point where by the time this next storm system moves in, the ridging is not gonna recover fast enough for it to build, which allows this trough to have an open lane to move further southward and bring that cold air further southward to impact all the Northeast cities. So again, take this with a big grain of salt. We're definitely going to need to pay close attention to once this trough moves in. I won't say we'll get a better idea of what will happen with this snowstorm until we first realize what will happen with this trough that's expected to move in right around this weekend, Sunday, right off the British Columbia coast of Canada. That's when we'll get a better idea of the strength of this trough, and as a result, that will certainly help us forecast who this storm system will exactly impact. But with both the computer models, the GFS and the European model, agreeing of a significant jet stream dip occurring with this storm system, as well as a similarly strength storm system developing at this time period, I will say that more likely than not, we will see at least some sort of snow in the eastern United States by right around the Thursday to Friday timeframe of next week. The question remains who exactly that'll impact, and that still has yet to be seen because of the factors I just stated just now. So definitely stay tuned. I'll certainly keep you guys updated over the next several days as the possibilities, especially with a forecast this far out, are essentially endless. So we're going to need to pay close attention. There's still that possibility that, who knows, maybe this trough isn't as powerful and we see a much weaker storm system. That's also another possibility. With a forecast hour that far out, you can't really disregard any sort of possibilities. But I do believe we're more likely than not going to see some sort of powerful storm system by the later part of next week. So definitely keep that in mind for those along the eastern United States in general. So that's about it for that storm system. In terms of what will happen after this ongoing snowstorm, which I'll get into in just a second, it's going to be relatively quiet. We do have, we're going to see a ridge move through. Temperatures should remain colder than average for much of the eastern United States, but when it comes to precipitation throughout the U.S., it's going to be kept at a minimum, most likely, thanks to this very strong dominating ridge. We could see a small clipper system move through, maybe bring isolated snow showers to portions of the Northeast and the Great Lakes, but it's going to be very light snowfall. I don't expect anything to develop out of this, especially when we have the European model also agreeing with a very similar scenario. Not only similar, but a scenario that's even weaker than what the GFS model is forecasting. So I do believe that it won't be necessarily anything major to worry about when it comes to that clipper system. And like I said, this trough will be key in determining the chance we will see our next major winter storm by late next week. Now, going into our ongoing snowstorm. So currently we are seeing snowfall right over Missouri, into Arkansas, into Tennessee now. Memphis is getting involved. Kentucky is now getting involved, as there is quite a bit of snowfall you definitely need to worry about over this area. The certainty is as high as you can ask for at this point. So I won't go too in detail regarding how much snow, or at least with what the computer models are stating, because at this point, the forecast is almost as certain as you could get at this point. But first, actually, let me show you guys the potential snow totals for our next the potential of next week's winter storm. So let's say the GFS model was 100% correct. We'd be talking about potentially not just inches of snowfall, but feet of snowfall in some areas, especially in the higher elevations of the Appalachians, maybe into portions of New England as well, but easily a large area of 6 to 12 inches of snowfall extending into Boston, New York City. Philadelphia is right on the border. Washington, D.C. would experience maybe around 3 to 5 inches of snow, or maybe less than that, depending on where that rain snow line is. But just be aware that this storm system would be quite powerful if it were to move through the Northeast. So definitely at least stay tuned for further updates, because this could be quite significant. So now focusing on the current snowstorm that's impacting the Midwest and eventually the Mid-Atlantic at this time. We're going to see that you definitely need to watch out for heavier snowfall over northern Arkansas, southern Missouri. It should approach Kentucky right around midnight tonight. And Memphis, you definitely need to be aware of also that possibility of freezing rain. That could be an issue in portions of south central Arkansas and extending into northern Arkansas as well. You could see snowfall and then going into 4 a.m. That snowfall should approach the Nashville, Tennessee area right around 4 a.m., the very early morning hours, and Kentucky should already be well involved with snowfall. Snowfall should be anywhere between moderate to heavy snow, so definitely keep that in mind for your morning commute, or if anything, I would say to not have a morning commute this morning, thanks to how significant the snowfall rates will be. And then by 7 a.m. we should see heavy snowfall extend into northern Alabama as well, before we eventually see the snowfall move into Appalachian mountain ranges, and then we see a new area of heavy snowfall as well as ice right over northern northeastern North Carolina and into southeastern Virginia right around the noon time. So that's definitely when you should expect the worst of the snowfall. Noontime all the way, I'll say until 10 p.m. The snowfall should be quite heavy for the Virginia Beach area, and Raleigh should get involved with accumulating snowfall as well as some ice accumulation. So definitely be aware of that for Wednesday night, as that's when the worst of the conditions should occur for those areas. So here's a current snowfall accumulation forecast over the next 3 days, or at least what's additional snowfall accumulation forecast. So this is on top of what you've already experienced in a lot of these areas. So you should mainly expect 1 to 3 inches of snowfall left for Arkansas and southern Missouri, on top of what you've already experienced. So that should be quite a bit of snowfall. We could easily see localized amounts of maybe close to a foot of snow in some areas. Memphis could receive 3 to 5 inches of snowfall from this, and then exiting for much of Tennessee, it should be mainly around 1 to 3 inches, which might not sound like a lot, but you definitely still want to be aware of that possibility, especially if the snowfall rates fall at a very fast clip. And we should see right around Virginia Beach 8 to 12 inches of snowfall. So we could see up to a foot of snow right around Virginia Beach, which is quite significant. Raleigh, North Carolina could receive 5 to 8 inches. So definitely keep that in mind throughout northeastern North Carolina and into southeastern Virginia as well. But that's it for now, guys, and I thank you guys for watching.